Hello, welcome to the 50th episode of Two Lads Garage. Wow, 50 episodes already, hard to believe. But we're going to celebrate. We've got balloons, we've got banners, we've got pups, and we have pup pie. This is peanut butter pie. Dogs love it, and we're getting ready to have some of it. Alright, girls, you ready? Make a wish. Channel gets monetized. Yay!
Yay!
Hey girls. Trying to congeal the wet so it doesn't drip. Now you're not supposed to eat the candle, just alright, you want some pie? I hear you over there smacking, Caroline. Y'all notice the dogs are getting their pieces first. Yeah, y'all good grief, y'all. Calm down, it's alright. Y'all like your pup pie. And of course we got some pup pie for Mommy. And some pup pie for me. With a Ford fork.
Cheers.
Cheers. Fire.
Congratulations!
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the 50th episode of Two Lads Garage. Excited y'all are here. So today, it's going to be a little bit of a different episode. We're kind of going to go through the past, present, and future of Two Lads Garage and just kind of kick back and enjoy, look over a few memories and have a good old time and even hopefully get to have a ride with some of y'all. Two Lads Garage. Like I said, 49 videos that come out in front of this. I decided I'd go ahead and try to compile the thumbnails from all of them. This will be a chance to see them on the big screen. Now, a few of them have actually, I got the original ones that there really wasn't anything wrong with the thumbnail. It's just hard to read in the small space that they give you. And also I kind of adopted more of a standard format later on and went and back did some of the original ones to match up. But anyway, take a look. Here they are. said, a little background to Lab's Garage. Seeing this, you know, I'm Aaron. I'm a car nut, and I'm also, believe it or not, I'm a very introverted, very socially awkward person. One of these people kind of tends to keep to myself, and so what in the world would make me do a YouTube channel? Well, that's funny, because way back in the 90s, there used to be this television channel called TNN. They have this show called Shade Tree Mechanic. I love that show, and I always kind of, when I was messing stuff up, I mean, I was a kid, but I was always kind of like acting like I was hosting it. And also, I've also done a lot of other handy things throughout my life, carpentry wise and all. Act like I was Bob Vila when I was doing all that kind of stuff. So anyway, years gone by, I get head over heels into this car hobby thing. I start watching some of the YouTube stuff to just kind of pass the time, look at different people putting out different content. And kind of got to thinking back on the old Shade Tree Mechanic things and looking at it, I was like, well, you know, this is the stuff I'm doing anyway. All the stuff I see them doing, the stuff I've done before and do and try to do. And also where I am with my car collecting hobby, I was at the point where just physically I was just going to have to stop. And by that I mean I don't have any more space. The amount of money it takes to do these, even though I'm extremely cheap and I have really figured out a way to do this hobby on a budget, I was just kind of maxed out. I was trying to figure out how to take it to the next level. And just one day I was watching one, I think it was Vice Grip Garage, but it may have been one of the other ones. And I was like, you know, why can't I do this? Just because I'm really introverted, I don't like to be the center of attention. You know, it's a little different when it's a camera than when it's a crowd. You know, I can do this. I just have to get over myself and just do it. So I talked over with my wife, a couple friends, said, you know, I think I'm gonna try to launch a YouTube channel. And this was probably last August, September 21. And I started figuring out, all right, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Really want to do revival. One of my favorite things in the world to do is revivals. And just to take a car that hadn't run in years, been forgotten. Most people have written off as junk, making it run again, making it something to be proud of. I love that whole process. I've done it several times before. These clowns on Marketplace is something else. So anyway, when I decided I could do this, I kind of thought about what I was going to do. In fact, that I really wanted to base the thing off revivals. I figured I'd go find some old derelict vehicle, bring it home, get it running, driving, sell it. I think I was the only one that was surprised when I went and got one and got attached to it. So anyway, we'll get to the future in a little bit, but things change a little bit. Another little ditty is when I decided I was going to do the channel. I decided one of the things I was going to do was keep it clean. I'm not going to have obscenities or foul language or places where plumbers crack emerge that's been pixelated out or just cut out altogether. I mean, stuff like that. I really want to keep it family friendly, PG rated kind of thing. But I'll tell you a little bit of a humorous story when it comes to that. Recently when I did my Thunderbird video with the speakers, I need to test the speakers. Another thing I have to worry about is like copyrighted music and all that. That's like at shows and all, that has proven to be a challenge sometimes just because of DJ in the background. And I'm having to either edit it out or whatnot. So anyway, when I went to test the radio, I was like, please don't let it be on a song, please let it be on the traffic or weather or a commercial or something like that. So naturally I turn it on and it's got Guns N' Roses song on, but I find out if it's only a couple seconds that you're okay as long as you don't go over a certain amount of time, which I didn't. It's not a problem. I think it's for stuff like that. So anyway, later on I had some more speakers connected. I need to test them again. So I go, same desires as before, and anyway, I got a commercial. However, the commercial was one for, I'm just going to say, mail problems and leave it at that. And I think I just ended up having to cut that out or try again a couple minutes later when they were on something else, because that was, yeah, we keep it clean and family oriented on this channel. And me telling you about that's probably about as far as I ever want to take it. A little funny story is, when I went to shoot the first video, I was working on my wife's Jeep. I'm like, alright, this is great. I got this little camera. This little thing right here, this is what started Two Labs Garage. Is this little thing from like 2005. Still works. Still occasionally use it as a backup. I keep it around. Easy to use. This is by far the easiest to use camera I got. But nonetheless, went sat on a tripod. Decided I'm going to start, doing the plugs and whatnot on my wife's Jeep. So I go and I say, hello and welcome to the premiere edition of... I was like, oh crap, I hadn't even thought about what I'm going to name this channel. I've been thinking about all this stuff and I hadn't even come up with a name. I'm like, oh, the pressure's on. You gotta think of something, I'll just blurt it out. Budget Bill's Garage. And as I'm working on, I'm thinking to myself, I was like, that's an awful basic name. I bet you somebody's already taken that. And I was right. So off camera, I get to thinking, I was like, alright, I can't believe I overlooked something like this. But what am I going to call this thing I'm doing? And both my dogs are there, and they're like my whole world. And the whole time I was like, Two Labs Garage? Two Dogs Garage? And I looked and they weren't taken, so Two Labs Garage it is. They are pretty much always with me working on it. You see them in the background a lot. That's just the way that we do things. But somebody out there actually one time accused me of ripping off Mortsky by having my dog in there, and that was the first I ever heard of Mortsky. He has a pretty good channel, but nonetheless, I can assure you I did not copy that. That's what I caught a little heat for was I decided my Falcon, I knew I was going to be reviving that thing, and that whole Dave with Derek contest came up, and I was like, I'm going to enter this in there, because that, even though it'd be taking a revival away from my channel, just the exposure of being on that would be really good for me. So I entered it. I figured he'd get some entry, but I didn't think it would be 6,000. That got blew. So obviously I didn't win, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to have a little fun with this when I revive the thing myself. I'm going to do like the intro part, maybe a little spec here and there, vice grip style, but the rest of it, I'm just going to get the thing running. Some people thought it was hilarious because I was just having fun. A few people got a little incensed about it. Hopefully they figured out eventually it was a joke, because, like I said, I was just having fun. Alright, so just a little bit of an airing in the car hobby before Two Labs Garage came to being a thing. Like I said, I've been a car nut my whole life. I mean, ever since I was little, the little Matchbox Hot Wheels cars, such as this one. They were always my thing. I had a huge collection of them, and as an adult, I got a huge collection over there, over there, over there. Model cars, trains, you name it. If it's got wheels and it moves, pretty good chance I'll like it. But nonetheless, growing up in the 80s, I was a car nut, and I knew a couple other people that were. One of them I know now, he actually owns a Mako not too far from the house. But I was always kind of a bit of a loner, because that's what I was interested in, and just a group that I was around only had a little more than a passing interest in vehicles, and even so, there was a lot of tastes that just weren't shared. My grandfather, he had retired from the Ford plant in Norfolk, Virginia. He was a quality inspector, a door hanger, and miscellaneous other things. And just a little side story, that 65 Galaxie custom I have, he actually hung the doors on that car. That's a Norfolk car. That's when he was doing door hanging and stuff. So no matter what happens, I don't care if they fall off and drag the ground, I will never mess with the bolts that put that door on, just because, well, I know who put it on, and that person means an awful lot to me. When I finally got to be in driving age and got my first car, it was kind of old, and a lot of people thought it was on its last leg, and I still got the thing. So anyway, loved that car, took really good care of it. few years later, found that my needs, because I was getting started in carpentry and all, I really needed a truck. Got this little Mazda truck. I think it was a little small for my needs, so I ended up getting a 1980 F100, which I still have, and so on and so forth. But everything I gotten up to that point had been a runner and just been kind of maintaining it and all. And my folks, they like cars, but they weren't motorheads like I was. They knew I was interested in cars. They had passing interest in cars, but I was kind of on an island by myself. My very first revival was a 1968 Ford Galaxie. And, well, that did not quite go so well because a friend of mine bought a investment property and it was left on the property, and he told me that he talked to the previous owners that were selling the place that they could just leave the car there and if that was all right with them, and he told me I could have it and get it running. Well, I was all over that. Well, come to find out, when he bought the place, they had it hauled off and sold for scrap. So that was my first revival. I had gotten to the point I was working on getting the engine unstuck, and that's when the car disappeared. And that was back in 2001. I do still, however, have the keys for it. My first revival, successful one, would not come until 2005, which was actually the very next one I got a chance to do, which was my dad's old 1984 Mercury Lynx. Here's a picture of it. And that had been sitting probably 3-4 years. I'm not exactly sure, because I wasn't keeping track of that stuff back then. But like I said, this was 2005. I was able to get that running. I was able to get it running, driving, fix the brakes on it. The issue was that car, it either had blown head gasket or a cracked head. And maybe the novice I was, I went and I took the head off. I knew it needed to be planed. Anyway, I took way too long getting the head back on it, and the engine rusted up and got stuck, and that car needed just a tremendous amount of work. And let's face it, 84 Lynx wasn't worth a whole lot. I thought my best option was to take the stuff off that car that made it a Lynx and look for like an 85 or older Escort for a couple $100, because they were, at the time, they were supposedly plentiful. And I thought, you know, I can recreate this car I grew up in and be money ahead if I just take an Escort and turn it into a Lynx, or just find another Lynx. Well, that never happened, unfortunately. And so the following year, 2006, was my first true revival, which was a 73 Cadillac convertible. That thing had been parked up for a few years beside the customer's house, and I was able to take that non-running car and get it fired up and drive it, and drove it home with no brakes. I remember back when I did the video when I revived Ben's Thunderbird, I counted up all my revivals, and I came to the number 9. That was my 9th revival. I have not done any since, and that's not my choice. It's just I don't have anything to revive. But that's also, I'm trying not to bore y'all to me. When I got married and I bought the house, mainly when I bought the house back in 14, that made money pretty tight. There were some months that were pretty touch and go there for a little while. One thing I did was I parked all my vintage cars, with the exception of the Thunderbird. At the time, that was a daily driver, and then once I retired it, if I had to go to Domino's and pick up pizza or run to a parts store or something, I'd probably take it up there. But other than that, all the old cars got parked up. Till about the start of 2018, when it just got to bothering me so bad that they hadn't run. And with the exception of said Thunderbird, every single one of them fought me getting them going. So I actually did the whole collection as a revival back in 2018, 2019. And even into 2020 when I did the Fairlane. And let me tell you, the revival and putting that thing back on the road, I really wish I had the idea to do a YouTube channel then, because that car, some of the stuff I did on that car would have been really, really good for the channel. But, hey, I didn't know at the time. So anyway, that's just a little bit of background. So I do plan on doing some more revivals. I kind of got to get things straight first. I don't have a rusty acres, and when I do one, I'm going to not only get it running and driving, but I'm going to see it through till it's at a good place. And like the truck that the Dodge truck, I was fussing about the fellow on Marketplace. Yeah, somebody just stiffed me on a transmission jack. Again. He's like the third or fourth person to do it. So I roasted him and reported him. But nonetheless, I gotta drop the transmission out of that thing again, unfortunately. That's what I need to fix. And get back to going on that. So that build is coming. We also got the build of a Falcon. That's kind of been paused for various reasons. Nothing really going on with the car. Nothing's taking a turn for south. I've just got other things I need to work on. Alright, high points of doing Two Lads Garage. I've really enjoyed doing this. I've been out to a couple shows twice. I've been recognized. I can't tell y'all how much that meant. Just some of the feedback I get from interacting with y'all. I've really enjoyed that. But with high points, there's also been some low points. Hey, getting the subscribers, it's been slower than I had hoped for. I thought when I had the original camera and I was going to start making videos, I thought, hey, it's just going to be just like I've been doing all the time. I just set up a camera, I hit record, occasionally I look at the camera and talk. Yeah, it's a lot more to it than that. Now I probably got somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 cameras, from little bitty GoPros like this one. This is a Longi. How do you say that? I don't know. This camera I'm using now, I did my first revival on the channel, the Dodge truck. Didn't understand how to turn the microphone on, and silly stuff like that, and it just gets you in. And when you're doing stuff like this, there is no take two. I mean, if I stumble across my words or I realize, hey, I screwed this up, I can go back and redo it. That's one thing. But when you go to editing and you realize something like the microphone wasn't on, or it looks like this with my head chopped off, or something like that, you gotta work with what you got. Bought a microphone that was no good. Prime Day came around, I was like, ooh, I'm going to get a second camera, I'm going to get something a little nicer this time. I got this thing. Y'all hear some of my videos, that's sound. Yeah, that's from this camera. There's nothing I can do to get rid of it. So, there's been a lot of learning process with the camera stuff. I did the one at the junkyard, and I'll say most of my videos have been stationary before that, with a few exceptions. I didn't know about the stuff that was needed to stabilize a camera walking around, and that's a learning process. But also, the nature of that, if I hadn't seen that in editing, I just scrapped it and made another trip up to the junkyard. Unfortunately, that junkyard was closed, and I filmed the final days of it. And literally, they closed on Thursday. The crusher arrived on Monday. Like I said, I just got to work with what I got, and I've learned a lot, and I still got a lot to learn. I'm learning something every day. So currently, last time I looked, we are at 363 members. And let me tell you, I am grateful for each and every one of y'all. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about YouTube. You gotta have 4,000 watch hours and have 1,000 subscribers before you get monetized. And I am not doing this to get rich. I'm not. I know that revivals are everybody's favorite. They're my favorite. Revivals cost money. I mean, even just getting something like the worst one, by the time you're done, you're going to be a decent amount of money in. With the channel not being monetized, everything out of my own pocket also comes out of the family. So I'm glad I have a wife that has been very understanding and supportive of me. When I did get the Dodge truck just for the channel, I actually got out of a trade for something else. And so that one really didn't cost me any money, just the parts. So that's why when I say hit that like button, the subscribe button, help the channel grow. That's why I'm saying when I say it. And they'll do. I mean, some of the names are a little more familiar out there, they, they can, that's our full-time job. This is not my full-time job. I have a full-time job outside. This is what I do in my spare time. But y'all have heard me flapping my gums enough about that. So anyway, we're going to get to a little bit of current state of the channel. We're kind of going to go through the list of the old cars that we have available to work on and kind of what their state is. So first off, let me check over here, is my Granada, 79 Granada. That car, it was bought by my grandparents. It's got 250 cubic inch inline six. It's got automatic transmission. I don't know how many times the odometer's been around, but it's been around a few. But that car, I love it. When I first got the car and I was taking it to shows, I kind of got funny looks when I showed up. It gets pretty good respect nowadays, though. But some people just can't quite wrap their head around it. But one thing I learned pretty early in the car hobby, something for y'all to take away, is when the show's over, or the event's over, that car's going back in your garage. It's going back in your driveway. It's your car. Do it the way you want. Make yourself happy. And if it makes everybody else happy, that's great. But it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how you build a car. It doesn't matter what car it is. You're going to have haters. You can't worry about them. Just do it for you. If you like Pintos, good for you. If you like imports, not my flavor, but that's great. But nonetheless, I digress a little bit. The Granada, big upcoming jobs I got on that is right now it's got a bad fuel pump. I'll probably change that off camera because, well, let's change our mechanical fuel pump. The AC compressor needs to be turned back on. Excuse me. The AC compressor needs to be reinstalled. And it's a funny situation right now because I got a compressor, but where the electrical hookups are, it's not clocked the right way. So I gotta figure out how to reclock it so I can hook up electrical things, because right now it's just interfering with the bracket. So I got that. And also that car really needs a ring job and some valve seals. Honestly, just because I don't have a whole lot of experience with that, and the fat back just can't seem to catch up, I'll probably end up farming that out, but you never know, I might end up doing it. But that's further down the road. It runs pretty good right now, just smoke some. Alright, a 1980 F100 I mentioned earlier in the video. That truck that's always been a pretty good truck to me. I've really got some ambitions with it. And what it all comes out to is I want to know when they announce what the route for this year's Hot Rod Power Tour is going to be. I'm really interested because I really kind of want to take that truck. But at the same time, like I said, this is just a kind of a hobby for me. I got to make sure it works for me to even do a leg or long haul. But nonetheless, I am thinking of taking that truck on power tour, and I'm going to need to be doing some stuff to get it ready. The biggest thing I'm going to need to do is upgrade the cooling system. The cooling system, it has not overheated on me, but it's got a small single core radiator. I'm going to try to go to a 3-row and do the supersize one. Need to replace the heater core on it. I kind of like to change it over to a 4-barrel and just clean up the engine and stuff like that. Other than that, the truck's really not in bad shape. It'd be nice if it had air conditioning, but it doesn't. The Thunderbird, I've been doing a lot of videos on that recently. I still got a couple to come out. And let me tell you, y'all, Thunderbird people, y'all have been good to me. I really appreciate y'all. Thunderbird's actually, of all the cars, it's probably my favorite one to drive. It handles good, it's got good depth to it. Unfortunately, there's a switch somewhere that's stuck that's keeping the interior lights on, so anytime I'm not driving it, I got unhooked the battery, or I'm coming out to a dead battery. So I got that to do, that's coming up. I need to get the back window retinted. Folks, if you get your windows tinted on your vehicle, get your warranty and paperwork. Trust and believe on that one, because I got stiffed on that. And now I'm having to have the window retinted because I did not get the warranty paperwork. Got a little surprise coming up for y'all. Anybody that's worked on one of those with a 4.6 knows how much fun it is to change oil in them. I got something coming. You'll go like this. I'm actually going to make something interesting how the oil change. So I'm not going to give everything away just yet. And the Thunderbirds, I've said this before, they call them the MN12s, the 89 to 97 Thunderbirds, and the Cougars. That is a vehicle I really feel like the market's asleep on right now. So if somebody wants to get in the hobby cheap, I think those Thunderbirds, Cougars, and the Lincoln Mark 8, their cousin, I think that's a great way to get in the hobby. Especially, don't overlook the Mark 8s because they got that dual game engine. Those things are something else. But I will also tell you that the weak link on these cars is the ball joints. I think I got one that's going out now. I'm going to have to get the ball joints replaced on it, which I think I'm going to try to tackle. The other thing with that car is one thing I'm kind of looking for, and I'm in no hurry to do this, so I'm taking my sweet time, is I'm looking for a pedal setup off of Super Coupe Thunderbird because I am seriously considering at some point switching that thing over to a manual transmission. I really like to do that, get the automatic out. The automatic's still working fine, it does leak. So sometimes I really have to dump some fluid in before I go for a drive. But nonetheless, the long-term goal I have for that car is I do want to swap it to a manual. And that's going to be a pretty big job from what I understand. But it can be done. So if anybody knows or is parting out a Super Coupe, let me know. I want your pedals. I need to also research and find out like what other stuff I need off the Super Coupe. If you know anything about this, email me, 2labsgarage@gmail.com. Also, I mentioned earlier about taking my old truck on power tour. Well, if that doesn't work out, plan C is actually this Thunderbird because it's pretty reliable and it's air conditioned. Since I'm also mentioned power tour, plan C, I'll just tell you plan D will probably be take the Granada, and plan E would be the old Green Dodge shop truck. If I have to get down to plan E, I'm going to pretty much be doing it with something that I don't have to do anything to. Alright, my 66 Mustang. Alright. That is a 6-cylinder automatic. It's got 200. And I don't remember anything major about car. Just some little odds and ends. And also, anybody that's worked on one of those cars and some of the similar ones, such as Falcons and Comets and whatnot, you know what a pain it is to change the heater hoses in that, because Ford had the great idea of putting the heater hoses on the other side of the firewall where the heater core is. So basically, to change the heater hoses, you have to change the heater core. And I do not like that design at all. So anyway, I'm kind of working up here, trying to get a plan on how to do it where you can just change your hoses like you need to. So anyway, that's just a little something I'm working on. That car you'll probably more see at drives and events videos than me working on it, just because that car is really in pretty good shape. Flat 67 Galaxie. Where do I start with? I love that car. That's the one car I bought sight unseen out of Maryland. Now I did run a drive, so it wasn't a revival. But I the Amtrak up to Maryland, got this car, sight unseen, drove it 5 hours back, about 250 miles back, at night, with no plates on it. That was an interesting ride. Maybe sometime I'll get into the whole story about that ride, but nonetheless, it made it home. I didn't get a ticket. I don't know how, because I had a cop riding my back bumper for like 5 miles, and he never noticed I didn't have plates on it. This spring, over the winter, I'd done a bunch of maintenance work to it so I could make it one of my front runners. It made it a half mile before it blew the transmission. So anyway, I've got a new manual, or I have a used manual transmission out of a truck. I'm going to be swapping it to a 4-speed. I got some pedals for it. I got the bell housing, the Z-bar. I'm still looking for a shifter handle. But nonetheless, hopefully sometime this winter, we'll be doing the manual transmission swap on my Black 67 Galaxie. While I'm at it, I'm going to pull the engine at the same time. I'm going to re-ring and reseal that engine. because it does have some blow by, and I just figured, well, man, I might as well put the thing on an engine stand and at the very least give it a ring job and give it a hone job. I'll rebuild the whole engine, but that's just because I've never done it before, and I don't like get way involved in something where I'm over my head. Fuel gauge doesn't work, I'm going to need to get that working. You have to change the carpet at some point. That's not urgent, but that's just fun stuff coming up. Then for the exhaust system, I'm thinking of putting some kind of headers on there. Like I said, it's a 289 car that will have a 4-speed in it. So if anybody knows what headers will work with that, please let me know. And it's got the Smithy mufflers on it now. I love those things. I'm also considering, when I do all this, to change it to the NASCAR style boom tube exhaust. A 1963 Comet, that's got 170 straight six in it and 3-speed manual. You're going to be seeing that car very soon because I just brought that back to the house. And it's running pretty good. The only gauge that works on it is the speedometer. You need to get some gauges working. And that car, historically, that's probably been the least reliable car I've had. That one is just always got giving me fits, but I finally got the bugs worked out of it. And that's just a really good running car right now. It's a lot of fun to take that car out. It's pretty gutless, but hey, I love it. Pretty car. The Tempest, I have videos on that over the past couple months. Yeah, I still got to put that steering wheel back on. I got the steering wheel rehab. Looks good. Not perfect, but good. You get that on there. It's got a bad electrical drain to figure out what's going on there. The throttle cable's sticking on me. So you have to figure that out. Because finding one for a 6-cylinder A-body, again, email me if you know something because I'm struggling with that. Be nice to have a working fuel gauge in that. It doesn't have that. I'm also planning on putting the retro sound or the USA one of those two vintage sound systems in that car. So that's something that's going to be coming up. My 65 Galaxie, like I mentioned, my granddad hung the doors on that thing. That car's actually a 65 custom, but I call it a Galaxie all the time because one, it pretty much is a Galaxie, and two, if I say I have a 65 Ford Custom, people are like, oh really, what kind of car do you customize? What's custom about it? It's just easier for me to say it's a Galaxie. Then if I got somebody that knows their Ford, like, that's a custom, I'm like, yeah. But I got that car from the original owner. The original owner gave me that car. The reason he gave it to me was he had it sold, but a couple fellas that had bought it, they needed to go get a trailer and they weren't ready to pick it up yet. They were going to come back the following weekend and pick it up, and he found out they were going to run the thing in a derby. He didn't like the idea because that was a wedding present that he'd received. And he was the original owner. He found me with my black 67, gave me the car. Under the condition I got off his property that night, well, I made it happen. So that car, it's still got the last windshield stickers from what was last on the road, which was 1979. It's got the wrong engine. It's got a 250 out of a 77 Granada instead of original 240. The original owner jury rigged that thing in there, but never finished the engine swap, and that's when it got parked. So I finished the engine swap. It'd been parked in '79 with a 77 Granada engine, $30,000 engine in that car. So that was really one of my good runners, and it's so good that when you hear me talk about power to her, that car's playing B. So it may go. That car is one I built 100% by myself. It's also the only car I've ever painted. And if I paid somebody to paint that car, I might not be too happy with the paint job, but the fact that I painted it myself and I got $35 for the paint job, I'm happy. Other work I got coming up on that car is it's still got the diff cam master cylinder. That needs to go. And I also need to do some work to the cooling system. The water pump leaks. And I'm also going to change that to a Jeep CJ radiator. When that video comes around, I'll get into the reasons why I picked a Jeep CJ, but trust me, I got a good reason. Alright, my 64 Fairlane. That car has got the V8 in it. It's a 3 on the tree. And my black lab Carolina hates that car with a passion. The if I go to get in that car and try to get her to come with me, she'll literally turn her nose, look at me like, I ain't getting in that piece of and she don't get in. Y'all loves it. She'll ride anything. That's a car I saved from the crusher. Need to redo the interior. Be making my door panels, swapping in some seats, and when I do this car, this thing is going to be so gaudy. By that I mean I'm painting it kind of a bright blue color, and I'm going to have metal flake in the thing. But I'm not just talking regular metal flake like in most cars. I'm talking like what you'd see on a bass boat. Also going to have blue LED lights all around it. That car is just, it's going to be absolutely hideous. I'm going to love it. My Montego, that has not been on the channel much. And that's because by the time I start filming for the channel, I wouldn't put it in storage. I just ain't gotten it back out. But that's coming. And that's going to be mainly odds and ends. It's had an intermittent fuel problem. I think I fixed it, but like I said, it's an intermittent problem. So I just don't know for a while if you fixed it. And I thought about using that as a possible power to a car, but I don't quite trust it enough of that yet. Never say never. Alright, the Falcon, 64 Falcon, has a 65 289 in it. 3 on the floor. It's a Futura, 2-door. Got a little bit of a lifter tick right now. I went and I put some lightweight oil in it, FW30, and it's got some Marvel Mystery oil and transmission fluid that's in there, so hopefully that lifter will free itself. Another thing with that car is all the electrics from the firewall back, none of them work, and I mean nothing. It's only from the hood forward that anything works, so I gotta figure out what's going on with that. The radiator leaks, it's nasty. I actually found an old vintage tachometer to go in it that I'm real excited about. I have to come up with some tunes for it. It does need new carpet, even though the original interior is in pretty good shape. It does need new carpet. And I plan on doing the body work on that myself. And that's going to be eventually painted a dark blue color. I'm thinking of doing deep wedge with blue, which is a color that was used by Explorers and Mustangs and F-150s in the late 90s. Alright, so when the camera battery died, I was just ramping up till it all about the Falcon. And like I said, it's gone away for a little while, but it's coming back. It's a long story, but where it is actually stored now, but the upper car fair is stored for a couple of years. I wanted to draft it some before drafting season was out, and I got plenty to do on other projects. So anyway, that's the Falcon. Now Dodge truck. That is the truck I actually got specifically for the channel, and I decided I was going to do a revival channel. I had opportunity to get that truck for a trade, and the original intention was just to flip it, get it running, get it driving, get it out of here, and I fell in love with it. That wasn't supposed to happen. But nonetheless, I got running. It's been parked, I believe, 13 years. Got it to drive, but the problem was it had a bad clutch, and it's got a variety of other issues. Anyway, when I put the transmission back in, I'd never done a transmission before, and I kind of missed the pivot ball on the clutch fork, and because of that, my throwing up bearing kind of came off the clutch fork. So I've been kind of dreading it, but anyway, I'm going to have to crawl back under that thing and pull the transmission back out to put the throw out back on the clutch fork. Hopefully it won't be near as involved as the first time, but hey, that's where that is now. I've actually started lining up some stuff to get going on that again, because my intention was never to let the truck sit that long. But anyway, that's where I am. I'll tell you, I'm not gonna blow. I got several videos coming up on that. I got some that have been in the process of being shot for almost a year, but nonetheless, I'll just say I got interior for it. I'm not gonna tell you about it just yet. All kinds of stuff with the interior. In fact, I made a video where I did the inserts of the door panels. Got some body things I'm gonna do with that. Got some things I'm gonna try about fixing a crap windshield on a budget. I'm gonna see if it works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, I'll tell you, don't waste your time trying it. I end up, the radiator has a hole that's big in it, and that literally holes that big. I can stick my hand over it. And I got a professional brake job and whatnot. So anyway, that is the current status of the Dodge truck. Alright, so what do I see as the future of Two Lads Garage? Well, the first 50 episodes, if you'd asked me a year ago what I thought they'd be like, really ain't gone the way I thought it would. It's turned into more of a car repair channel than a bills and revival channel. That's alright. I'm doing what I can. Like I said, everything so far has been financed out of my pocket. I haven't had a single sponsor help out on anything. So, all in all, can't complain. But nonetheless, the future, I still got the pie in the sky. Is doing some more revivals and builds. Now, in light of that, I can tell you a bit about some builds that are coming up, like the old Dodge truck. I'm working, doing some stuff behind the scenes, trying to get back to work on that. Never meant for it to sit like it did, but nonetheless, getting ready to get back to work on that, get that back on the road, which is going to be a ton of work. I'm going to share with y'all some of my budget body work methods, some of my paint stuff, my interior stuff. I really feel like I can pull off a good looking interior on that truck for not a whole lot of money. So that's coming. The Falcon, like I said, I've got a lot of electrical work to do on that car. I don't know why nothing from my firewall back's working. Gotta do that. I don't think Hercules can pull that light switch out, so I've got to change that. Spruce up the interior, spruce up the exterior. It'll be a while before I get around to painting that, but we're going to be getting that back on the road. I hope that a couple months from now I'll be back to work on that. In the meantime, like I said, I'm sharing some footprint with some in storage. I want to be able to drive them before the end of the year, so you'll see those couple coming out. The other big project I see coming up is the Ford Galaxie. Change over to a manual transmission, freshening up the engine. I might as well, if I can do all that, put some new universal joints on it, possible custom exhaust. I don't know how far that project's going to go, but at least by my standards and the time and facilities I have, that project's going to be pretty big. As for the Thunderbird, speaking of manual transmission swaps, that's down the line. I'm just kind of right now looking for somebody partner out super good, trying to gain my knowledge, do my research, but that's not going to be really anytime soon. And of course, revivals. And with me being the way I am getting attached to stuff, I really want to kind of stick to my short list stuff. And there's a few I'm confident I'd have no problem sending on their way. Example of that would be a 62, 63 Falcon. Much of all love Falcons. I like the 61, 60 models, and the 64, 65. Don't really care for the 62, 63. Anyway, I also believe that when my heart is into a revival and my heart is into a project, I'll be able to do better work on it. I'll be able to put out better content, because I believe that if I'm really excited about a project, that it will transfer over. Anyway, that's what I'm going there. Now, I mentioned the short list. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there, kind of what I'm looking for in revivals. With me working full time and all the things I try to do with balancing my work-life balance, I don't see me driving halfway across the country being working, not unless it's for something on the short list that's very, very tough to come by. 75 pound adventure. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, I got my short list, and also really, since that time I got the idea to do revival channel, I've really gotten into kind of old, rustic, worn down trucks, similar to that Dodge I have. Anyway, kind of top of the list of what I don't already have that's actually practical and achievable is a 4th gen Chevy two-door. That's 75 to 79 model years. I like the round headlights better than the square ones. Not a big fan of squares, but you can swap that. So anyway, two-door one of those Novas. Another thing I'll say about cars before I get too deep into this is, for the most part, I don't care two-door or four-door. A lot of people say two-door only. I'll do either one, unless I specify it. The big thing is, I will take a four-door, but I'm not willing to pay a two-door price for it. Some people want a two-door price for a four-door, and well, that's not happening. Number one on my little short list is a Plymouth Fury. Now, my favorite year of a Plymouth Fury is the 72. Now, I could be wrong on this, correct me if I am, but the 73 to 69 models are pretty much the same. I know the 73, they put the bigger bumpers on them, but structurally, below just like the grill and some of the cosmetic stuff, they're the same. The reason I bring that up is I actually have a 72 grill, front bumper, fender extensions, and hood. So, if somebody could give me, like, say, a 69 or 70, I could put all that stuff on and be happy. So, anyway, Plymouth Fury, 69 to 73. 72 is preferred, but I don't care how many doors it has. I don't care what engine's in it. I don't care what transmission's in it. 72 Fury is on the list. And another one that you kind of heard me mutter earlier is the 75 Pontiac Ventura. And that's one that I really like the styling of it. That would have to be a two-door. That's one that I am picky about. My love for them partially goes back to my love for old race cars. They were real big back in the Busch Grand National Series. In fact, got a Jack Ingram diecast right here. That's a 75 Ventura. I think they make a Dale Earnhardt version, but nonetheless, if I get one of those, I'm going to do one of two things. Either I'm going to make an old Busch Grand National tribute car, maybe St. Martin, something like that, I don't know. Or I'm going to do a what-if build. And the what-if is, what if the muscle car era hadn't ended by 1975? But a few other things that did happen in the 70s did happen. And Pontiac was still making the GTO, and it still lived up to her reputation. So, kind of like a fantasy 75 GTO. That's part of what I do. Sure, I know what color I paint. I'm not going to tell all my secrets. But yeah, that's one of them. Also, this fellow that's king of this genre for revivals and travel home. I don't think I need to mention his name. Everybody knows who he is. But he revived the 68 Buick LeSabre and drove it from North Dakota to Minnesota. And let me tell you, LeSabres were not even on my radar screen before then. But let me tell you, 68, the years that look similar, Buick LeSabres, I'd love to have one. Other things that are on the short list as far as cars, 1964 Ford Galaxie, that's one of my favorites. The 57 Chevrolet Bel Air. I know very expensive, but hey, remember, I'll take a four-door. 53 Fords and Chevys, I like them a lot. Model A's, I love them. Plymouth Dusters, Dodge Dart Sports, AMC Ambassadors, Camaros, I love Camaros. Second generation, the 75, 76 onward, where they had an outsteer window. And even the third generations, 82, was it 92, 93, I can't remember off the top of my head. But those, the Monte Carlo SS's out in the 80s, whoa, beautiful cars, I love those things. Cutlass, that's another one, I love 66, all the way up to I think 75, somewhere in that time frame. Love those. And if I could get a 69 to 72 Cutlass four-door, that'd be really interesting. That's because that's the first car I ever drove with a 70 Cutlass four-door. So, I might have one though. Also, the 92 to 97 Cutlass two-door Supreme. like, they're pretty cool. I'd like to have one of them. And that's one of the few front-wheel drive cars that really does something for me. See, what else? Glass house Chevys from the 70s with round headlights. I'm a big fan of them. And pretty much anything else that's got stacked headlights. I like stacked headlights. Anyway, like I said, trucks, that's another big thing I've really gotten into. And I love my square bodies. I wouldn't mind having 2 square bodies, one with round headlights with square, particularly the 81, 82 custom deluxe Chevrolets. I really like them. And also the 2 square bodies, one Chevy, one GMC. To go along with that, the Jeep J10s. I've recently really taken a liking to those trucks. And, well, I've already got Dodge. Now Ford, I got that bull nose. Square body. Really like to get my hands on square body. I mentioned the Jeep J10. Why would we leave International out? The International, I think it's called 1210 or something like that. 69 to when they quit making them, which I think was 75. I've always liked those trucks anyway, but I'd really like to have one of those International trucks. Now when it comes to trucks, my preference is almost always 2-wheel drive and long bids. Yes, you heard that right. I prefer a long bid to a short bid. Where that gets a little different though is I also like mini trucks. And when I say mini trucks, I'm talking like Ranger Resistance and stuff like that. Just so you know, the years where they had the glass headlights, in fact, I'm not really a fan of any of them after they had the positive lights. But, hey, that's me. My favorite of those, I think it's, I may be a little off on the years, but 85 to I think 92, 93, Mazda B2000, 2200, 2600. And that's where I'll really kind of come off the long bid thing, because especially if I can get extended cab, I really wouldn't mind a short bid. But even short bid, regular cab would be alright. I just prefer. When it comes to the mini trucks, I prefer extended cab, long bid, short bid in that order. Also, if I get one of the square S10, I got a little idea of building one of those too. But it is. And then there's some things where I'm just shooting from the stars. I know it. Chance of me ever finding one for them. Not gonna happen. And that includes the 68, 69 Dodge Charger, and also brass air cars. I love brass air cars, but they're so expensive. But I got an idea. But I don't know if that's a ways off. But yeah, personally, I'd love to have a Ford Model K. Yes, you heard right, Ford Model K, 1906, 1907. They were guaranteed to do 60 miles an hour for anybody foolish or brave enough to do it on the roads with tires at the time. Just to give you an idea. Model K, Model S, all of them really kind of off the beaten path stuff. But I know that's pretty much not going to happen just because they'd be so expensive and they're so hard to find. I don't think there's like 20 Model Ks still in existence. I mentioned the Model S, I think I read there are 3 of them still in existence. Or 3 known to still exist. Alright, so, of course, while editing, I noticed a couple I'd overlooked. And I'm not going to get too into detail, but I'll just rattle them off real quick. Chrysler Cordoba, Chevy Laguna, and 65 to 77 Ford pickup. Alright, so now let's check out, see what's in the email, see what viewers may have sent me. First question's from Corey. Corey wants to know how the channel's doing. Well, progress has been a little slower than I'd hoped for, but nonetheless, I'm sticking with it. I'm still doing it. I'm grateful for your support, but I'd love to grow. I'd love to be able to do more and be one of the big dogs in this channel long term. I mean, how far will I take the channel? I'm not going to say how far because I really don't know. But right now, the next real goal is to get the channel monetized. And like I said, I'm not saying that to be greedy. Of course, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't want to be successful. But at the same time, all this production costs, and all costs money, and I need to be able to offset it to do things like revivals and bills and all that. We'll say that whatever I do make off this in the future will come right back into the channel. Morgan wants to know, what is my favorite channel on YouTube that's not automotive? I got a few that I really like. I like to get my NASCAR news. I don't watch racing as much as I used to, but I do. I do like to keep up with what's going on, catch a race here and there. So Out of a Groove is one of my favorites. I like Dale Jr. Download, the Scene Vault podcast. All of them are fun. If you're looking for something that's just downright entertaining, pretty much anybody that just wants a good laugh and just wants to be entertained, look up the How Ridiculous channel. That's a few blokes from Australia. They're a hoot, and they're always up to some nonsense, and they're probably laughing every day because they get paid to just play. And I wish I could do a channel like that, because that would just be so much fun. But like I said, all that costs money. What else we got? Favorite car in the collection. I kind of addressed that a little bit earlier, but my 96 Thunderbird, that's my favorite one to just get in and drive. Sometimes though, I need what I call stick therapy, and that's just getting something with a manual transmission, driving around. So that could be my Fairlane, the Comet, even though the Comet's pretty gutless. Either of the old trucks, even though I'm still working on the clutch on the Dodge. And then I just love the style of the 67 Galaxie, which when that comes back, that will be a stick. Hope I'm saying this name right. Jean Fallu, I guess. So he's from Quebec. So Jean, what you want? Jean, what's the cheapest I've ever built a car for? Well, I will say that's easily my 65 Galaxie, the custom. That thing, it helped a lot that I got the car for free. But all my money saving trick, junkyard, do-it-myself stuff, all the sweat equity I put into it, believe it or not, I got less than $1,000 in that car. Now, I'm about to go get a new set of tires for it, and that will push me over $1,000, but as of right now, and I've had that car since 2009, I got less than $1,000 in that car. I am thinking of putting a vinyl top on it. That will also send me north of $1,000 up, but hey. Maurice. Alright, that's my best Steve Miller impression, but nonetheless, Maurice. Maurice wants to know when I got most frustrated doing stuff on the channel. And I can do it. That's a pretty easy one. When I did the revival on that Dodge truck, and I came to start editing it, and that's when I realized that I had done the whole thing with the microphone off. Oh, I was so aggravated, but I had to work what I had, so it's what it is. Alright, Mitch wants to know what happened to viewers' vehicles. That segment's still around. I kind of quietly let it go away just because of a general lack of interest. I didn't get many submissions at all, and most of the ones I did get came from my friends. I did get a few from viewers, but nonetheless, I would like to keep that as part of the show. If anybody sends me stuff for viewers' vehicles, I will gladly put it in. However, when we get to a milestone where I got more subscribers, I might try again when I hit 1,000 or 2,000 or something like that. I may try to push it again. But for now, just due to a general lack of interest, I just kind of quietly put it away. But I do plan on bringing it back. And we got one more question in here from Alex. Alex wants to know what's the deal with the turtles that were behind my head in the video to request questions. Alright, those are my turtles, Penny and Leonard. They're actually my Black Labs turtles. She absolutely adores those things, and you'd have to see it to understand, but yes, they're both yellow belly slider turtles. Are about a year old. They're currently in a 65-gallon tank. Well, anyway, I really thank y'all for tuning in. 50 episodes has gone by a whole lot faster than I thought it would, and I can't wait for the next 50. Anyway, please do like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. I've kind of gone through all that, but I'm so glad y'all chose to join me. I know this was a long video. If you're still here, I really especially thank you. But anyway, y'all take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of your projects, and God bless. Take care.